Take a moment to focus on your breathing. Breathe in, be healthy, breathe out. We are Wrist Rhythm. Did you know that 40 million Americans suffer from anxiety disorders every day? Each and every one of us experience stress, and Americans spend over $50 billion on their health each year. Our solution? Wrist Rhythm. Wrist Rhythm is a watch that is a tactile breath pacer which uses vibration technology to help users optimize their breathing patterns. Paced breathing has been used for centuries to combat symptoms such as stress and pain as well as optimize health. Paced breathing is scientifically proven to help regulate your nervous system and enhance physical and mental strength. Our story begins in California, where our founder Katie was attending a biofeedback conference. One of her colleagues mentioned that she would love to see biofeedback technology developed for the deaf and blind. At the time, Katie worked in a biofeedback stress management lab, and she saw that paced breathing was generally the first tool that biofeedback practitioners teach their clients. Katie thought this would be a good place to start. The discovered pain was the lack of breath pacers available for the deaf and blind. The solution was to create a breath pacer you could feel rather than see or hear. The first prototype idea for the breath pacers were rudimentary and involved materials you could find in a common garage. The value proposition was a handheld device, and the person could sense how to pace their breath through rods driven by a motor that would move across the hand. It was meant specifically for biofeedback practitioners to offer to their deaf and blind clientele. The main assumption of this first stage was that there was a gap in the market, a product like this would be viable, and that handheld technology which moved across the palm would be an effective solution to the problem. To validate these ideas, Katie went to another conference and spoke to a focus group of 8 technology developers, engineers, clinicians, and so on. They confirmed that there was a gap in the market and that a product like this would be viable, but the handheld solution would be much better if the haptic sense were through vibration. We then went on and made our first pivot. We switched to a vibration model breath pacer. So then Katie had new assumptions to test, that this type of pacer was possible to make and that handheld vibration technology is an effective solution to the need for breath pacers. She then interviewed 15 electrical engineers and computer scientists. She found that it was possible to make, but that wearable technology in the form of a wristband would be a much better option. After doing some market research, we learned that the wearable technology industry is projected to be at a $12.6 billion market by 2018 and decided to pivot to using a wristband breath pacer instead of handheld. One of the engineers joined our team and began developing our first prototype. Original cost estimates were between $5 and $7 to make the product, and we decided to cost price at $12 to $18 to avoid loss. Because of the new wristband format, we decided we could expand our market to fill the pain for people in all situations where hearing or seeing a pacer is inconvenient. At this stage, we looked more closely at our competition and how we could have the competitive advantage. Our main competitors for breath pacing and fitness watches are phone apps, Easy Air, Breath Sync, Fitbit, and Nike's Fuel Band. In one-on-one interviews with clinicians and biofeedback technology distributors, we asked what advantages they saw in our product over the competitors. In addition to revalidating our current ideas, the interviewed experts stated several advantages of Wrist Rhythm, including greater hands-free convenience, a better reminder of breathing, and the quietness of the product. As Dr. Barbara Morell said, the Wrist Rhythm serves as a synergistic tool for a modern and stressful life. We then surveyed 50 people to assess initial reactions to a breath pacing wristband without knowing very much about paced breathing. One of the main findings from this activity was that for a majority of people, the first thing that came to mind was that this type of product would be useful for friends and family with anxiety disorders. We then pivoted to expand our customer segment to the 40 million Americans who currently suffer from an anxiety disorder. We expanded our business model canvas to include our new market and added distributing connections to our key partners. To test our assumption that paced breathing would be a solution to help with anxiety, we researched dozens of scientific articles on paced breathing. In the process, we discovered about 17 other groups of people who can benefit from paced breathing, such as those with cardiac disease, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, insomnia, and asthma. We also discovered that paced breathing can be used to help those who are already healthy, to maximize their body's physical and mental efficiency. People such as athletes can also benefit. We again pivoted our customer segment to include not just those who have physical ailments, but also those who wish to optimize their health. This means that our market size has expanded to include almost 310 million Americans. Because of this pivot to include a more general population, we knew we needed to include functions in our wristband that would appeal to a wider audience. So we added a watch function to our prototype, pictured here, and went out to test our assumptions that people use breathing to decrease stress and see what they would be willing to pay for a product like this. The assumption that people use breathing as a stress management tool was validated by 87% of those surveyed. We also found that people would be willing to pay an average of $35 for the minimum viable product. What we hadn't accounted for was that 89% of people had not heard of paced breathing or its benefits, and this was a barrier to purchasing the product. Even in a yoga focus group of 55 students, few understood the benefits without explanation. We also learned that many people wanted a heart rate monitor included in the product. Because of the low number of people who knew the benefits of paced breathing, we pivoted to add education to our key activities and provide user-friendly information about paced breathing in our marketing campaign. We also decided to change from a cost-priced revenue model to a value-priced one, since we would be able to see a 43% increase in revenue. In order to capture a wider market, a premium version will be introduced and will include a heart rate monitor and Bluetooth capabilities. We found people are willing to pay an additional $50 for these functions. Where are we now? We are currently enhancing the functions of our wrist rhythm prototype, continuing to expand our customer validation and feedback, creating a crowdfunding campaign, and continuing validation of our product through research labs. We are Wrist Rhythm. Breathe in, be healthy, breathe out.